Welcome to a special episode of 90 Minutes of Wisdom. My guest today is a TV host and radio host, a model, a fashion icon, author, influencer, and so much more. She hosted Music Plus for many years, co-hosted the Bell and Bum TV music show, was featured as a cover girl model, and has appeared in many fashion shows. She has interviewed superstars like Madonna, David Bowie, Paul McCartney, the Rolling Stones, just to name a few. Please welcome to the show the lovely and talented Genevieve Borne. Welcome, Genevieve.
Hey, Andrew, so nice to see you and to speak with you.
Yeah, a pleasure. We've known each other a little bit now, and all through music.
Exactly, because you used to work for Sonos, and I have a Sonos system, and you always made sure that my Sonos system was on point, that if something was not working, you'd run and help to fix it and let me aware about new products or new ways to use it. And as you know, I cannot live without music, so if my system is down, I'm down. I'm really down. So thank you for lifting me up every time you could deal with my Sonos system.
My pleasure. So let's start off with just tell me where to begin. It's so difficult, but just tell me, I guess, where did it all begin for you? Like this amazing journey to become the star that you are today.
Thank you. Actually, you know, music is at the center of my life. For me, music is a treasure, and it's a treasure I need to explore. And I am spending my life listening to music, thinking about music, analyzing music, talking about music with my friends or on radio or interviewing musicians making the great music that we can hear. The only thing I haven't done is actually making music myself, you know?
Which is so strange. Like
I
you
know, because
really.
my brother is a musician. My brother is a guitar player and a keyboard player. And, you know, he could have taught me so many things. But I don't know, I guess it's as if my journey and my mission is to talk about music, make people discover music, and share my passion for music. It seems to be my mission, you know?
Yeah, I think you'd be really great though. I think you should pick up a guitar or something, you know?
Well, I play drums, you know? I don't know if you've seen my drum kit when you came over. Did I
I
show you my music room?
I seen it once, yeah, a while ago, but I didn't know, like, I didn't know if it was for like a gift or for show. I didn't know that. I never didn't know you actually played.
Yes, I do play drums and I love it. And I play piano a bit.
Mhm.
I'm really bad at guitar. That's really for my brother, you know, he's really great. And I would say that I owe a lot to my brother for who I've become, because he really did my musical education.
Mhm.
He taught me all about the rock classics. And you know, in the 70s, because I'm 54, so I was born in 68. So you can imagine that in the 70s, for example, in 1978, I was 10 years old. 78, 77, 78 are disco years, but
Mm.
they're rock and roll years at the same time. So I was into disco and I was roller skating. But my brother was upset because he wanted me to listen to Pink Floyd and Hendrix and the Doors and Genesis. So he would taught me all about these bands. I'd arrive after school and he'd sit me in front of Shom, in front of the radio, and say, "You hear this? This is really good. This is Queen. You're gonna love it. You hear this? This is Janis Joplin. She's very important. You gotta love her." And so, and actually, I think I learned speaking English by reading lyrics on album covers, you know, because if you listen to the music and you read the lyrics at the same time, then you know how to pronounce the words. And then you try to understand what they mean. So yeah, so my brother has played a big part in what I've become.
Amazing. And he's a few years older than you. Is that right? He's a
Yes, he's 3 years older than me, and all my girlfriends were in love with him. So after school, my girlfriends would come over, and after 30 seconds they'd say, "Is Eric here?" And I was like, "Yes, Eric is here. He's in the garage or in the basement rehearsing with his band." And Andrew, what I believe is that we become what we've always been. For example, when I was like 12, 13 years old, I was spending time with my brother and his band, sitting on an amp or on a speaker, talking with them while they were tuning their instruments. And I ended up doing that at Musique Plus years after, interviewing musicians. And I had a discotheque in my basement. My father built a discotheque for me. So there was mirror paper on the walls. There was, of course, like a disco ball. And I had this great pickup, with a translucent cover. And I would go to the record store and buy albums and make my friends dance. My girlfriends and I would dance in the basement and have such a great time. So, and I've been DJing so many times. So it's like it was clear what I would always do is play music, talk about music with my friends, and talk about music with musicians, from such an early age.
Yeah, it's super cool because you were like a certain way destined, I guess, uh,
Yes.
for this. But it's also like it's so interesting to me, and we were talking the other day about that. Just how I think, like, in my opinion, like you're one of the few people that's living their best life and living a free life, like kind of what you think you do, what you want you do. Whereas many people in this world, like they did a survey and they're like, well, 90% of people dislike their jobs or whatever, So you look at those type of things like, okay, well, it's okay, it's a means to the end. But I love that doing, like, you're found not only just doing what you love to do, but to be successful in it. And I think that's all derived from knowing, like, yourself, like inside. You seem to know. And so could you talk a bit about that, like how you discovered you?
Yeah, that's such a fun way to put it. One thing that strikes me in what you're saying is that I'm free. It's very important for me to be free, to not be tied down. I'm an eternal single girl. I do have boyfriends sometimes, but for some reason, my natural state is to be single because I love to be free, just free. Um, I love to travel, and I can spontaneously tonight buy a plane ticket and just go. And I love to have a lot of free time, but also to have a very flexible schedule. 9 to 5 is not for me. I love my days to be different, and it's a chance I have that the work I do is so varied, so diverse. It's never the same. My days are never the same. And I can have a day off on a Tuesday and work on a Saturday. It's just never the same. And to have the chance to express my passions for music and fashion and travels and photography, it's just great, doing everything I love, you
It,
know?
it, it is, and you're amazing at it, and you're really like a treat. I mean, we're quite close in age, but I grew up when I was watching you on Music Plus, and I'll say for myself and everyone I know, we're always like, oh, you're like the beautiful lady on Music Plus, like,
Thank
we're
you.
like, oh my God, have you seen that? Yeah, Genevieve on Music Plus. Oh my God, she is, you're a very, very nice style. You're very, very popular. Everyone's she's so cute, and you did your job so well. And you always had, we talked about this too, you always had a smile, but like this genuine smile in your eyes that comes across, and this warmth that comes across. And I think that's what people really like fall in love with your personality, is your warmth.
Well, I think that what you see is the passion and the love for music that is inside of me. So, and I was always very, very prepared when I was doing my interviews because I have a lot of respects for musicians. If you have spent 2 years writing and recording a record, I will listen to it. I will read every lyrics. I will pay attention to all the arrangements, the musical arrangements. So, and I think musicians appreciate that. You know, some of them would say, "Hey, you really listened to the album?" And I'm like, "Well, yes. You know, I took the time, of course." It's a proof of respect, you know, and
Yeah.
so yeah, I think so. That smile is the joy of being able to talk about music, either on radio or on TV, and to talk about it with the creators, the ones who are making the music, you know. And to me, they're, I mean, I wouldn't say gods, but David Bowie to me was a god, uh, or a semi-god. You know, I was so in awe. I mean, that man has changed the music world.
Oh yeah.
And more than that, you know, he was so intelligent and so he was a great explorer of life and arts and music precisely, but of all kinds of arts. And I'm still sad that he's gone because he still had so many things to explore and share, you know.
Right, absolutely. And look, I'm a big fan of Bowie. I mean, everything from changing the culture, but also I'm very interested when you say arts is that like Bowie was also well known for like the dark arts or like Aleister Crowley and predicting the day he would die and stuff like that. And I think he was able to, all great musicians, it's channeling and the music through. So when I'm not considering myself a great musician here for the conversation, but for all great musicians, when I write for my piano songs or whatever songs I've ever written, I hear the music through me and I play what I hear. So these great musicians, and you're saying like you use a term like demigods or whatever, and I agree to
Yes,
that because they're channeling this amazing that can only be explained by a side or a piece of God. So I
yes.
do that.
I
Yeah,
really believe that musicians are in touch with the divine.
yeah, yeah.
Whoever, whatever it is,
Yes.
there's magic there. There are angels around musicians because how do you explain this amazing music coming through you guys?
Mm.
And you know, 1 second there's nothing, and 10 minutes after there's a song
Mm.
that is born, you know, and comes out of your hands and your mouth and your spirit and your heart. I'm really impressed by that. I think that's magic.
Oh
It's
yeah.
magic, and it's related to the divine. It,
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. I think and recognizing that, and I think for I mean all art, but there's a great quote. One is this lady that she passed away and then she came back to life, right? And when she passed away, they asked her, "Did you speak with God?" And she said, "Yes." And they said, "Well, what did God say? Did he speak English? Did he speak what language?" And she said, "No, God spoke in music and math." Right. And it always stuck with
I love
me.
that.
Yeah, so it's like this thing. Well, God speaks in music and math, and I have that whenever I release any of my piano songs. I always write that quote: "God speaks in music and math," because I always remind myself of that, a way to express, which is really really interesting. And looking at that at what these guys like, Bowie, they channel something, but something that's just so much bigger because there's channeling good songs, great songs, but then there's like channeling like this whole culture shift. Like it's something else. And you've seen those. I mean, we could talk like Madonna or right, Bowie.
Yes,
There's only a handful that really I
yes.
would put in that
Yeah,
category.
I think Madonna and David Bowie we could put in the same
Yeah.
category of people who have antennas,
Mhm.
and that are able to catch what's in the air, what the trends are, what you know the movements that are coming and that are going to become important. Plus, both of them have I speak of Bowie in the present. Both of them have a very, very, very open mind in terms of sexuality, in terms of artistic expression. They are aware of all the undercurrents and the underground and everything, you know, that a lot of people don't see or perceive or hear, you know. So I think they have special antennas. And you know, we always say that Bowie was in the merge, like always in the underground, but I think he just had a way of sensing interesting things that were there, but that no one could see and bring them right in your face. And Madonna does that as well, you know, but in a more commercial way. And I like the way that David Bowie has never compromised, apart from the album Let's Dance, where he on purpose did a very, very commercial album, but it's an excellent album. But otherwise, he never compromised, and he wanted to explore, and he made it challenging for himself. You know, he explored complex musical path. He could have went on very commercial, many like easier path, but he went on the more complex path.
Right. That's yeah, absolutely. That's what made him great. Do you remember any quotes or anything he had said to you, like personally, or anything you remember that you could share?
Oh my God. Of course, I remember. And my interview, you can find it on YouTube. You know, you just type Genevieve Borne and David Bowie, and you can watch the interview. I think it's 40 minutes long, and it was live, and I had to translate. Can you imagine? I mean, we had to translate because it was a French music video channel in Quebec. So of course we had to translate. You can't take for granted that people in Lac Saint Jean or Quebec City would understand English. So we always had to translate. While I was translating, David Bowie was waiting for me to finish translating. Just that part still makes me feel nervous. You know, he was waiting for me, and not 30 seconds. Like every 5 minutes, I had to translate. And so there are many minutes where he was just listening to me and waiting, you know. I was like, oh my God. And the other thing I remember is how kind he was, how much of a smile he had on his face, like smiling all the time. Smoking when he was not allowed to in the studio. So every time we would run like a clip, a video, something, he'd light up a cigarette. And when we'd come back from commercial or from a video, he'd go like, and pretend nothing happened, you know. And he was just so charming, you know. And I keep exploring his career. I've been admiring him for many, many years, but I am still discovering things, and I'm still like, oh. And there's something I'm doing on my social networks. Every day on Instagram, I post Bowie of the day.
Yeah, I see. That's
On
so
my
cool.
Facebook, Bowie of the day, because you need one Bowie a day to remind you that amazing human being was walking on Earth not too long ago, and to keep a bit of Bowie in your head, in the sense that, why don't you explore more complex territories? You know,
Yeah.
why don't you give yourself a chance to explore unusual things, you know, instead of taking the easy road? So that for me is the reason why I post one Bowie a day.
That's amazing, and I follow that. And we're gonna let's focus back on you, because like we could talk another like full thing about Bowie. He's just so
Oh, for sure.
interesting and cool and stuff like that. And I was saying, oh, with that whole, you know, Aleister Crowley thing I find is very fascinating, because I got into like understanding about Aleister Crowley as a kid through listening to Ozzy Osbourne, and I was just like, what is this? And then I started realizing what like black magic and that kind of stuff, which isn't, you
And
know,
Led Zeppelin.
hugely so as well. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, totally, totally.
But do you know the secret, Genevieve? Can you
Um,
share it, or are you not allowed to share? Do you know you're not allowed to share the secret?
what secret?
I don't want to pry, but this fascination with Aleister Crowley and the influence.
No, I wouldn't precisely know. All I know is that music is magical and that music is my God.
Yeah.
And I will spend my entire life exploring
Mm.
that magical thing. You know, it's a treasure. It's a treasure. You know,
For
and I'm looking at that treasure from every angle. You
Absolutely.
know,
Absolutely.
still full of mysteries.
Yeah, no doubt, no doubt. And for yourself, and getting back to what you're saying before, I know that you often travel, and you're still, I mean, you say your age, but I mean, you don't look anything near your age, and age so gracefully, and you're still so very, very beautiful.
Thank
And
you.
so what is like, what are you currently working on, and what's like the next thing for Genevieve Borne? Like what's your next project and what you're currently doing?
But that's the fun thing is I never know. And that's the great thing. I mean, what is always present is, talking on radio about music, and what is always present is, traveling and taking pictures and all that. And what happens very often as well is I'm being invited on different programs to talk about music phenomenons, or, like all these rock stars dying. It was like, okay, Genevieve, Prince died. Can you call in the studio and tell us about Prince? Yes. Okay, Genevieve, David Bowie died. Can you come into the studio and talk about David Bowie? I'm like, yes. But the other day, because I'm my computer's always open, my phone, and I always, look at social media. So I always know the second someone dies, I know. No one can tell me the news. I know because I'm there. But the other day I was, I don't know, doing something, and a media TV station calls me, texts me. I receive a text message, and it says, Genevieve, could you comment the death of Olivia Newton-John? And I said, and my heart sank, and I said, no, I'm sorry, I can't. I was too sad, probably because they told me the news and I didn't have time to digest it. It was a shock. Olivia Newton-John was one of my first idols, like 1978. I went to see Grease, and I totally fell in love with John Travolta and Olivia Newton-John. She has the voice of an angel. She was so cool in Greece. And then there was Xanadu, and I loved Xanadu. And I think she's my first female idol. And then there was Blondie, and then Madonna. So yeah, to me, Olivia Newton-John was an angel. She had the voice of an angel, and what she did was pretty, pretty amazing. And recently, when Rolling Stone magazine has put out the list of the 100 best singers, they forgot about Celine Dion, which was strange, but they also forgot about Madonna, which is even more strange, because one of the criteria was artists that had an impact in a very important catalog, so hello, Madonna. And Olivia Newton-John wasn't there. And that made me sad, because if the voice of an angel cannot make the list of the best 100 singers, I don't know who else should be there.
Yeah. That's really, really strange. Like, how could they admit that? I mean, I used to work, with Francois Lalonde, Celine Dion's personal engineer, and he told me, like, because she had recorded just the day before I was in the studio, and he literally said, yes, she actually, like, en français, when she sings in French, she does one take to go straight to the CD. And he goes, when she sings in English, she does two or three just in case she mispronounces something. But she's that good. She sings and it gets burnt to us. Like, there's no editing.
She is so good. So, I think it was personal taste.
Hmm.
Um,
Not cool. Not
kept
cool
her
though.
out of there. Not cool.
No.
Because if they would say, because of course, like, they could say, yeah, but we like artists with an edge. Okay, Courtney Love is there, Patti Smith is there. Okay, I understand. But then how do you explain that Whitney Houston and Mariah Carey are there? They're totally in the same style and category as Celine Dion. So there is no logical explanation.
There's some politics there, something we don't know. Yeah,
Yeah, something, yeah.
yeah, yeah. But, it's the
Let
thing.
me do the list next time.
Yeah, exactly. Let's get a real. I'd say
Yeah.
you should make a better list than that for sure. And because you have two is like modern and old. Like I remember, we were recording in the early days music studios, and when I started recording music, I was very young. There was like Cakewalk 1 version, and now there's like, I don't know, 25, 30, or whatever they're up to. I have no idea. But
Yeah, you know the way Billie Eilish records. I mean, with her brother,
yeah,
she sings the song 40 times, and he takes a word here, a word there, sticks them together out of the
yeah,
40 versions. It's all cut and paste and rearrange something out of all these takes. That's fine. That's called production. That's okay. You
for
know?
sure. But I look at, and I'm sorry to interrupt, but I look at those tools because we have the scissors and the stuff, but they used to really cut the tape, physical rolls of
Oh,
tape, and they used to glue them together like Pink Floyd when they would do, like, biggest Pink Floyd fan. And hopefully you saw the exhibit here, it was awesome. And they used to, when they used to do samples, they used to cut the tape like pieces together. Like that was literally how they would do it. So now people don't even know that. They just see the scissors, like, oh, cut, paste. Like, it's so easy. You don't understand how hard it was back in the
how
day.
hard it was for the Beatles to stay in the studio all night and create loops.
Yes.
You
I
know?
I heard the other day, I know you already know this, but they're the attributed with the first people to ever use a sample, right? Like sampling.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Nobody
yeah.
did samples before that.
No, no, no. You haven't asked me about Paul McCartney yet.
Genevieve, what do you think about superstar Paul McCartney? And I know you have interviewed him, so
I've interviewed him 4 times.
4 times. Wow.
And when I'm around him, I've met him 7 times. So 4 times during actual interviews and 3 other times during events. And when I'm next to him, my heart beats so hard that I'm convinced that he can hear it. And I'm like, I hope he can't hear it. I'm like, he's my favorite person, in the world. I mean, apart from my family, of course. But yeah, I admire him so much. And he's a source of joy for me because his music is making me happy. Like, literally, if I'm sad, if I'm down, I put a McCartney song and my smile comes back. It works every time, you know? It's like I can put like She Came In Through the Bathroom Window, or Got to Get You Into My Life, or Band on the Run, or any. I mean, so many solo or Beatles songs. It just makes me smile. And not only these songs make me smile, they give me shivers here, down my neck. The effect is amazing. So it's like a medication. It's a boost. It's a energy boost and a source of happiness. Yeah.
Mm. Yeah, that's super cool. Listen, we could talk a lot more, but we only have our time is coming to a conclusion. So I wanted to ask you, is there any like advice or last things you want to say to the audience?
Yes.
And what share some of your wisdom that makes you so special, that to help people maybe in the world, to find their special, unique superpower.
Well, that's so cool. I don't know if I'm special. I just know that I'm very, very passionate about what I do. So you have to find your passion. And once you find your passion, you have to make sure that every day of your life is spent exploring your passion. And of course, we all have to make a living. So try to get the job that gets you as close as you can to what you want to do in life, And when you're a teenager, it takes time and step by step, But I used to say back then, in the 90s, I'll mention things that don't even exist anymore. But I used to say to students, instead of working in a restaurant, work at the video store, so you learn about movies and marketing and the artistic world, work in a record store, you'll be in touch with all the music that's being created and promoted, so don't go for the job that takes you far from what you want to do. Always choose the job that gets you closer. Sometimes you get to have the job right away, but sometimes it takes a while. But at least keep in mind, step by step, every day, I'm doing something that will get me closer to my dream. And if you do that, you'll get to it, That's what I believe.
That's wonderful, wonderfully said, and great advice. I worked actually at HMV for a couple of years just for that reason, just to be around music, listen to a new CD every day. So I think that's wonderful, wonderful advice. So with that, look, we're gonna have to conclude. I'm sure you'll come back maybe in the future, and we can have another
Anytime.
fun talk together. So look, I'll say thank you so much for it is so intimidating, as I was saying, for me being trying to interview I consider you one of the best interviews in the world. So thank you for
Hi,
humbling.
Andrew. Thank you so much. It was my pleasure. It was a nice talk, a nice conversation. Thank you for having me on your show. I'm really, really happy to be part of your podcast. And let's do it again anytime you want. And don't forget to follow your dreams, okay?
Absolutely. Merci encore. Thank you so much, Genevieve. Okay.
Thank you. Bye. Bye, everybody.